During these unprecedented COVID times, it's imperative that we all reach out to our community and network of contacts to ensure that they're given an olive branch of support to navigate these unprecedented times. But it's also important and imperative that we reach out and expand our reach to ensure that those around us know that they're not alone. Parker Mays has taken that mandate and mantra to the next level. He's a junior at NC State University studying business administration with a concentration in marketing, and he's developed an accountability community for the students around him and those abroad to ensure that they're all held to the same standard of excellence during these uncertain times. He joined me this week to tell me about his accountability community and provided some thoughts on the state of the marketing industry through the eyes of a millennial and so much more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. Parker, if you're ready, welcome you to the program. And we're excited to talk to you about the current state of the marketing industry and all about your personal life. So great to see you. And thanks so much for taking a few minutes to join us this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, Parker, I wanted to start today's conversation off by having a little bit of fun by asking you, first of all, if you could tell me what gets you up in the morning, most excited about contributing to the world, but if you had to look at it through a glass half full kind of approach.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things as I'm thinking through this is just gratitude for all of the, really the blessings that I have from family and friends. Another thing that kind of tags along with that is the people that I get to chat with, having conversations like this on a daily basis is really a great accountability tool to, hey, I'm up, I'm ready to take on the day. And then the third thing would be the goals that I'm setting around, especially helping other young people to achieve what they want to do. So those are kind of the three biggest things of, why I want to get out of bed and really like take on everything that I've got going on throughout the day.
And tell me, what do you think is your biggest moment or greatest moment of influence so far in your lifetime?
Yeah, and it's interesting because as I think through, there aren't, because being 20, there aren't these super significant moments yet. But one thing that I've really taken a lot of pride in over the last couple of months is launching a community platform for young people. So 16 to 24-year-olds, high schoolers, college students, and just out of college. And as a result of that, we've started to kind of build out this program where on a weekly basis, people can come and connect with other young people. And so that launch, which was back in September now, so 2 months ago, has really just has a sense of pride with it, because seeing not only me being able to connect with other people, but actually creating connections with each other just feels really fulfilling.
And tell me, I know that you're a constant networker of new people with new people. So tell me your philosophy on the importance of networking with other like minded and not so like minded people.
100%. I think that one thing, and this is something I tell especially younger people because they don't always understand. I didn't understand it when I was younger, and they don't, is that, it is really true that having that one relationship or connection can make so much of a difference, and you never know who that one person that you're going to meet is. So part of the reason why I love networking, meeting new people and talking to new people is you really never know who that one person is that you're going to connect with just right. And then that's going to change, the trajectory of where you're headed for the next 10 years. And so that's always my encouragement is, hey, like if you have a chance to meet a new person, put that best foot forward, because it could be that, that perfect connection for you.
So I also know that you're currently a junior at NC State, studying business administration with a concentration in marketing. Therefore, my next question is, what do you think is your biggest area of potential impact or influence in the marketing field, and how would you assess the current state of the industry, particularly for millennials?
Sure. So one thing that, to answer the first question in terms of where I'm really interested, I think that digital marketing, especially, we've seen it right now, how much of an impact it has with COVID, but really as we continue to go, I think that there will be even more emphasis on whether it be social media or email or website. There's just so many channels through digital marketing to have an impact. And then one thing through a podcast that I recently started and kind of platform around that called Taking a Breath has really been a focus in personal brand management. So I've worked with a few different people on how to really clearly communicate what the brand is that they want to show people, what they, how to put their best foot forward. And then for me, in terms of like the state of the industry and where I think we're going, like for whether it's personal brand or, working with nonprofits or entrepreneurs, I think that any way that marketing can be done digitally is really incredibly powerful right now. I think that one thing that I've seen a lot of shift towards in marketing, especially the way that people are doing it right now, is in terms of storytelling, because when we're talking about how to cut through the noise, people are very tired of the same spam emails over and over again, or tired of, scrolling through the Instagram feed and seeing the same thing over and over again. And it's about how can you create eye-catching or ear-catching content, which is why I love, working on podcasts, why I love doing these types of things, because as we continue to tell our stories, tell the stories of our companies, our brands, and the projects we're working on, I think that that's where the most attention is, and where we can really catch people off guard to then look further into what we're working on.
And tell me about your podcast. I know that Taking a Breath is something that you've put a lot of work into. And tell me about what you hope to get out of the platform.
Sure. So Taking a Breath was a project I started at the beginning of COVID. It was specifically for me, this kind of reset button to step back and evaluate what was most important in my life. And things that I really started to work on through it was something that I realized that I didn't have a community or mentors around me that really wanted to consistently win and help me win and help others around them win. And so something that I really started to dig into was the mission to create a community that inspires young leaders to take action on their goals. And so that's kind of the mission of Taking a Breath, is specifically, young people, how can we create a platform with the podcast and create a community with the sessions that we're doing there that are inspiring young people to consistently be taking action on the goals that they're setting for themselves.
And tell me, what do you think anyone that wants to get into the marketing field, coming from the mind and perspective of a millennial, what do you think they have to sort of ask themselves before entering this field of interest?
Yeah, I think that one thing that I have really been examining, especially as I've been working on building brands, is, and it's this concept that is talked about in this book called The War of Art, and it's this concept of resistance. And the idea is that there's this person that I am, and there's this person that I want to be and or that I could be, right? This like best possible version of myself. And the gap between those two people is this concept of resistance. That's what the book, The War of Art, talks about. And so something that I've really been examining and sharing with people around me to examine as they're, whether it's in marketing or whether it's personal growth, but I think marketing especially, because there's a lot of need for like really being willing to take the actions, like whether it's sales or personal brand, you really have to take those actions. And so resistance is this, whether it's procrastination, whether it's, delaying things based on, oh, I don't feel good today, or I don't want to do this, or, whatever it is, examining where that resistance is for people and then being able to start overcoming it, right? And so I talk to people a lot about, okay, here's where you are, here's where you want to be, and then these are the clear things, the ideas, the resistance that you are really needing to overcome. One for me very personally was like procrastination. I was like, oh, this is really hard. Like, I'm just going to wait till tomorrow to do it. And it was not until I started to step past that I actually started achieving the things that I wanted to do.
And tell me, you talked earlier about your community that you're trying to establish. Sure. For 18 to 24-year-olds, and tell me why it's important for all of us to sort of establish our own community of accountability.
Yeah. So one thing that I think is really important to think about when we're talking about networking, when we're talking about mentors, is that we need to have the people in our lives who are going to look out for us and hold us accountable when we deviate from either the goal or we deviate from the path that we want to be on. And so to kind of think through why I built that, or why it's important for other people to be thinking through how they can create that accountability for themselves, is that when I have a goal, I know that I'm going to get distracted along the way. I know that I'm going to, have this tendency to want to give up if it's too hard or it's going to be too far. But if I know that I have the people around me who are holding me accountable and who really want the best for me, to say like, hey, here's something that you set your mind to and that you really wanted, and you told me to keep you accountable, right? And so for the people that are listening to this that might be interested in their network or in their mentors, it's about how can I take those steps? How can I reach out to new people? And how can I deepen relationships where people are really going to care about me? Like, you don't have to necessarily build, a 50-person community where everyone's going to be coming to meetings that you're leading on a weekly basis. Like, it doesn't have to be that serious. It can be as simple as having 3 people that you check in with on a weekly or monthly basis to simply say, hey, how are your goals going? What's working? What's not? And where can you continue to be taking those next steps?
And tell me, what was the one thing that you haven't accomplished in your young life that you're looking forward to accomplishing, or you want to accomplish?
One thing that I'm really interested in right now is I'm working on launching a mastermind group. So a small group that is specifically targeted around finding your purpose, clarity around your goals, and creating accountability. It's a big theme for a lot of the work that I do, but creating accountability for yourself. And so this mastermind group is something that I've really been interested in launching. I actually just got off a call with one of my mentors who is helping me to build out the process for launching that. But that's something that in the near future is something that I want to launch and start to create more of an impact through. I've got the community platform where anyone can come and do this, but really having a chance to invest in a specific small group of people where I can really make an impact is something that I'm really passionate about. And so that's something that I'm, 2021, like early 2021, would love to set that goal and accomplish.
So let's end the interview by having a little bit of rapid fire fun. So
Sure.
if money was no object, I wanted to answer these three questions for me. What causes would you support? What would you splurge on? And where would you want to travel?
Okay. So the first one, what would you splurge on? I think one thing that I always have a hard time just because of my my situation, like wanting to spend a lot of money on kind of things that I value or don't value. And so one thing in terms of practicality that I would be like, I would put a lot of money into would be like advertising for some of the things. I know that's probably not the common answer. I would love to have like a nice car, a jet, like all of those things. But in terms of like super practicality, in terms of what I'm really focused on right now, like having money to spend on like advertising and building out my platforms and everything would be incredible. Where would I travel? I think one place I'm really interested in is Mumbai, India. I have a few friends there that I've made, would love to meet them in person. I've gotten to talk with them for the past 6 months, but I've never met them. And then also the UK, London specifically, chatting with some friends there, getting to fly out and see them. So those are two places that are like top of my bucket list for whenever COVID's over. And then the third question in terms of what I would support, I have this huge obsession with causes that are supporting growth for young people. So part of the reason why I created this, but there are a few causes that I've worked with that are specifically mentoring for young people. There's one called Journeyman Triangle that I had the chance to interview the director of. And basically the idea of that specific one is for young boys ages 12 to 18, developing them from boys to men of integrity, right? And those types of organizations and causes are something I'm really passionate about because I think that mentoring for young people is so important. And those are really critical times in their life where they're developing as whether it's a man or a woman, really becoming the person that they want to be. And I know there's a lot of things that can hold that back in terms of the environment that's around you. And so I think for me, that's a huge one is I want to really like build up younger people. I want to create opportunities that I wish I had had when I was younger to surround, young people with those that can really take them to the next level in their personal growth, in their development, and in their goal setting.
Hey, Parker, I want to thank you for spending a few minutes with me to discuss the marketing industry from the eyes of a millennial and some of your personal and professional goals and aspirations. Really enjoyed our conversation, and I want to thank you for being here this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
100%, Kevin. Thanks for being willing to have the conversation. I love it.